What's up, Ionics, and welcome back to a new quick win. This week we are talking about a very cool, simple, small animation that can really spice up your application. So, while working on my new book Built with Ionic, which will hopefully be released in about exactly 1 week, I came across the behavior of different search elements in applications like WhatsApp, Netflix, Spotify. All of them have a custom animation when you click into a search field. Something just happens. A button fades in, the animation bar goes up, you got an overlay fading in, and Ionic has a search bar, but the default behavior is pretty boring. So today we're gonna implement something pretty cool using a little CSS transition and animation between elements, and on top combining different elements of the view with the Ionic Animations API to create a powerful, cool, very great UI that is definitely a lot better than the default and can put really the focus on your search field and just feels more natural and more native. If you want to check out the code, link below the video for all Ionic Academy members, and you know it, as always, if you're not yet a member of the Ionic Academy, go check it out right now, ionicacademy.com, my place to help you with everything Ionic. But for today, let's create this cool component and spice up our Ionic applications. Alright, so for this application, you just need a blank new Ionic application without any other packages or pages. We're gonna focus completely on the home page. And the only thing I did is I removed the basic styling and I added a dummy list right here. So just a list of 30 items. If you check it out, it's really just an empty list. What we want to do now is basically a two-step process. First of all, we want to integrate the search bar and fade in the cancel button, because that is step number one. In step number two, we're then going to add the Ionic Animations API to move it to the top. And that's basically always how you break down those complex animations. Try to figure out the different steps that are required and then just work backwards. So we're going to start with a collapsed header. That means for Android, you're going to have to do this a bit differently. We're going to focus a bit more on the iOS appearance right now. So that should be collapse condense, and we'll already give this the condense header template reference. As we're gonna need a few more references later, we can also already add, well, no, let's not do this. Let's really take it easy for now. To create the condensed header, we have to add the toolbar, we add the Ion title, which has now the size large in here. We're gonna just say contacts. That should already give us the first impression of the condensed header right here, and that automatically works from Ionic. Now we add a second toolbar, and within I'm gonna add a custom div element so we can really surround it with all the styling that we need. First thing we need is, of course, an Ion input. I kind of like the input more in some places. You could also use a search bar, but I don't know. I feel like this works a bit better for some custom animations or custom functions in general. On top of that, I want to put an Ion icon into the search bar. Actually, yeah, it's interesting that there's no slot inside the Ion input, because I think adding an icon like this to the beginning, or actually there is search icon or something like that, right? Isn't there something like that for the input? I really forgot about this. I've used this like 100 times. So can we go to the Ion input? Check it out, check out the slots. No, there are no slots. So that would definitely be my recommendation for the Ionic team. Put another slot into the Ion input. I guess the search bar has that. Anyway, with that in place, we also need a button. That's the cancel button that we're gonna fade in. We're gonna make the fill clear, color primary. We're gonna use a small size for this button, and we're gonna need, well, a bit more later. But for now, that's basically gonna look horrible because we haven't applied any kind of styling. Now, there is a difference between active search and inactive search. So we're gonna start by adding a variable searching and set this to false. and we're going to add conditional styling to our ion input. We're going to use class.activeSearch if we're searching, and we're going to use class inActiveSearch when we are not searching. And we could do now the same for our ion button, but let's do it a different way, just so you see, well, so it's not getting boring in here. Let's use visible button, and we're going to use this if we are searching, right? And we're going to use, let's call this one hidden button when we are not searching. So it's really mostly the same. You could use class, the class syntax, you can use ng-class. It really doesn't matter too much. Now, if we click the cancel button, we want to toggle our search, and as well we will toggle the search when the input gets focused. So let's add the ion focus in here. Toggle search for now will be really simple. This dot searching equals not this dot searching. So we just want to change that. Now, when I click into this, we would have the right classes applied. We can check this out by diving into it, and then we see ion there, then it removes. Now it is inactive search. Now if I go back to it, active search. And also the ion button is now hidden button somewhere. The button, I don't know. Now it's hidden button. Previously it was visible button. So let's get into the styling for this. First of all, we're gonna style the general UI. We're gonna generally add to the ion input a bit of padding and the background, the border radius and the height, but that won't change a lot right now. What's changing our UI is setting display to flex and then saying align items. Well, let's use flex first of all. That already works pretty good. I think we actually don't even need to align the item center. Don't think that will change anything. Cancel looks pretty good so far. So I guess we can just leave this out. Leave everything out if you can leave it out. Makes for easier code. Now, interesting is what we need to use for the active search and the inactive search. We're gonna have 4 cases here. We have active search, we have inactive search, we have the hidden button, and we have the, I guess, visible button. So maybe we could wrap them. In case of the inactive search, the button is hidden. So that is our base state, I would say. In the case of an inactive search, we will set for the search bar again the display flex, and we're gonna give it a flex weight of 1, so it's gonna take up the whole row. And we'll also add a little transition to make everything a bit more smooth. Maybe we could add a long transition for now, but we're gonna change this back in a second. The hidden button will have an absolute position, so it's basically out of the view. Yeah, well, of course that was happening. We don't really have to use top, but I want to position it correctly so then it doesn't come in like this, but fades in like this. Therefore, we're gonna move it out of the view, and as well we're gonna use the same transition. Now, and that means by default, as you can see, search bar is taking up the whole place available. And even without any classes, it's already coming in. That's pretty cool. Didn't thought that was possible. So now let's add active search. In the case of an active search, we're gonna add the same display flex, but this time it's not using the whole available width. So it's using a bit less, which means the search bar gets smaller. And as well, the visible button will now be in a different position. We're gonna make it 0 pixels to the right. We're gonna use it the same way top. We might have to change an index, but let's give it a try for now. I think that looks pretty cool. Very nice, very nice. I like that, I like that. I think maybe this one isn't working correctly. In some cases I've seen this, so I'm just gonna add the index here to make sure it's on top, because I feel it's like it's also not getting the click event. Let's quickly check this out on my device to confirm it's working here as well. So let's see. Yeah, there it comes, and there it goes. Of course, 1 second is way too long, so we're going to change this to 0.4 seconds in all of the places. And then it should already look a lot more natural. We can also stay here. So that comes in pretty nice. Actually, that would be, in many cases, that would be enough. That already makes for a better UI. You can type something, then you can cancel. That's pretty cool. But we want to take this, of course, a step further. And we do this with a bunch of view childs. So as I teased in the beginning, we're gonna now put in some. So we're gonna use the header wrapper. We try to access the condense header in here. And at the same time, I also want to add, where am I? Within the content, a search overlay. So that search overlay should have a dark background. We can quickly put in a bit of styling for that as well. So let's do this. Yeah, we don't need the line numbers. So it should cover the whole screen with a bit of transparency. If I make this to 1, we should see it. Yeah, we would see it if I use a index like this. But of course, in the beginning, I also don't want to see it. But that's basically how it should look like later. Also, as you can see, we might have to apply a change to our Ion content and disable scrolling while we're searching. So therefore, we're gonna add to our Ion content. Scroll Y is only enabled if we're not searching. So now if I am searching, I can't scroll this anymore. And if I close this, I could scroll again. But of course, we need to handle the this friend here. But we're gonna make it invisible in the beginning. So right now, I think just for a test, we need to make the Ion item a button, because I'm not sure if the overlay is currently, no, it's not. So I just want to make sure that the invisible overlay isn't taking away the click event, but it's not. So we got this, and now we want to move this up and fade in our overlay. And therefore, we're going to access all the elements as a view child, first of all. So let's add view child from Angular core and the element ref. Now you might wonder why the 3 look a bit different. So in those 2 cases, for the header wrapper and the condense header, we're accessing an Ionic component. So it is on the Ion header, it is on the Ion header. And therefore, I really would just want to get the native element. And therefore, I put in read element ref here. For the overlay, it is already a native element right here. No shadow DOM, just a div element, pretty basic, so we can directly access it. Whenever we want to access really the element ref, put in read element ref. Otherwise, you're accessing the Ion header. Yeah, there are also cool functions on the Ion header, but nothing that we need right now. Then we add the animation controller, and we're gonna set up our animation within the toggled search. In fact, there was a little, a little problem with the inputs. I don't know if this still exists in the future, so the Ion change event here was basically triggered twice. And to prevent this, there was a kind of ugly hack. So if this input fired, we're gonna return immediately. Sometimes this happened. And somewhere in the end, we then have to set, basically after this, we're gonna have to set this input fire true. And when the animation is finished, we can set it back to false. But for now, what we're gonna do is we first of all access the title toolbar. Do I still got this logging thingy? Yeah, there we got it. So from the condense header, we wanna get the first child. Why do we wanna get that? Because that is actually this little toolbar, and we're gonna fade that out as well. So we're not using the whole condense header, which contains everything. Then we would also fade out our toolbar with the search. That's of course not what we want to do. So we access that element. We could actually, yeah, maybe we could have just put it, we could put it in the condense header here. Yeah, that could have worked, but no, I think it's actually better like this. Just stick with me. Okay, let's do the different blocks of the animation one by one. If you haven't used the animation controller, it's basically always the same. You create an animation with a name, doesn't really matter. You add an element. In this case, we're using the header wrapper, which is the topmost element. Then you have some kind of transformation from to, you're changing styling, opacity, height, positions, whatever it might be. And this is kind of optional. So this is really the basic for. This is only what I wanted to do is after everything of the animation is finished, I will also want to add the index -1 so it's not covering anything anymore. We can also create the toolbar fade. So this is the toolbar fade. The second one is the header fade. Maybe we should play them one by one. That makes more sense. So let's already try and call play on this one. As a result, what we should see is it moves a bit to the top. On a real device, I guess it's actually moving a bit more. So do we still got my preview? Of course not. Whenever I need it, it's gone. That's great. And we also don't cover the reverse case. So right now we only got the case playing it once. But let's see. Here it already also moves to the top a bit. That's good. Now we just need to get rid of this area. So let's put in our header fade using the tile toolbar. This is now the element within the condense header. We again change the opacity to 0 and also really reduce the height of that element to 0. Now to play both of these, or for now let's just play one. To combine them, we need a wrapper. So definitely the element here is gone as well. So we can create a simple wrapper to chain all of our animations like this. It's really the same setup like before, but this time we're adding animations, an array of the two animations we created, some easing and a duration. And then we can add a bit of logic if we're already searching. In that case, we wanna, well, let's do the default case. So if we're not searching, we're gonna call wrapper.play. And if we are already searching, we're gonna set the direction of this to reverse and then call play. So that should make the animation basically toggleable. Okay, that moves it to the top. And clicking on, are we actually able to do any back stuff? I don't know what this is. Okay, because input fired. Yeah, this dot input fired equals false. But putting it here might lead to a little problem, so we're gonna have to use a set timeout there. But anyway, at least it's already possible. And you see our CSS stuff is still working in the background. What we've set up before is still working nicely with that animation. Now we just need to fade in the overlay. So let's put in another animation. The overlay fade using the overlay element, changing the opacity from 0 to 1. And in the default case, when the wrapper plays, we will also call overlay fade play. But there's a problem that you will notice, hopefully. Let's give it a try. So no overlay. Why is there no overlay? Because the index is still wrong. It's covered behind everything in our view. So to change this, we can add dot before styles. And before styling, we're gonna set the index to something like, I think 2 should be enough, and then play it. And that means it should appear and fade in. Great. Now we just need to make sure that it fades out again in the end. So in the opposite case here, we're gonna add after styles. So after styles, we're gonna remove it and play it. I think we also need the direction reverse. Do we need that? Yeah, I think. Okay, was it already saved? So we can do this and we can go back. Do this and go back. I think that looks pretty cool. Also, since we attached a click event to the overlay, we can dismiss it with a click on the overlay. And also you see no more scrolling while this is active. Scrolling again and clicking working. I guess that's actually everything. Let's also finally take a look at it on a device. So it moves completely to the top, and then we can cancel it and we're back in our default application. This is really a pretty easy example. There are more complicated ones, but even the first part with fading in this cancel button already gives this play element to this animation. And you can see this in basically every application, Spotify, YouTube, Netflix, whatever you check out. There is nothing like here's the search bar and then search just starts. There's really always some kind of transition. It moves to the top, it fades in an overlay, it brings in a cancel button, it moves the start to the beginning or the center, anything like that. And we can do the same now with Ionic. Once again, for Android, we might have to change a bit. We would see this now if we would check it out on the Pixel, since we don't even have a condensed header here for Android. So for Android, I think we might be able to put that code in here. But of course, in that case, we would have to change a bit the heights used in here. Because right now for Android, it would break the layout, but it would definitely be possible for Android as well. So if you want to have a little challenge, implement this now for Android with fixed heights, and perhaps just have a little check here for the platform so it works for both Android and iOS. Alright, and that's it again for today. I hope you enjoyed this quick win about just a very small component inside your application. Really quick win, the term, that's exactly how those videos should look like, right? If you got any questions about this component or would like to see small kind of micro animations inside popular applications built with Ionic, just let me know below the video in the comments. And of course, make sure you don't miss the launch of Built with Ionic, the book that covers this and a lot more examples, hopefully released next Tuesday. So I hope you enjoyed this. I will catch you next week. Have a great week and happy coding. Simon.